All right, welcome everyone. So today we're going to kick off our journey into Mandarin Chinese by looking at something really fundamental, personal pronouns. Now, I know what you might be thinking, just a list of words to memorize, right? But I want you to completely rethink that. These pronouns, they're not just vocabulary. Think of them more like keys. And with these keys, we're not just going to unlock the grammar of the language, but something much deeper, a real window into the culture, the social rules, and the very logic of the Chinese-speaking world. It's fascinating stuff. So let's start with this big question, one that's really going to guide our whole discussion today. What can a simple little pronoun actually teach you about an entire culture? You might be surprised. The answer is a whole lot. We're about to go way beyond just this word means that. We're going to dig in and really uncover the logic, the history, and the social meaning that's packed inside these incredibly important words. Okay, so first up, we're diving into the core singular forms. We're talking I, you, and this concept of radicals, which is where things start to get really interesting.
All right, let's start with the big one, I or me. The character is 我. Now let's talk about how to say it. The pinyin is 我, but the key is that little V shape on top. That's the third tone. It has this unique falling and then rising sound. Listen closely. 我, 我. You hear that dip? Now, a really common mistake I hear all the time is students pronouncing it with a flat, high tone, like 我. It just doesn't sound right. That dip is absolutely crucial. So let's try it. Really focus on that down and up motion in your voice. 我.
Okay, next up is you. The character is ni. And guess what? Just like wa, it's also got that tricky third tone. So again, listen for that dip. Ni. It's not a flat ni, but ni, with that same rise and fall. This is your go-to word for addressing a single person you're talking to. Okay, now this is where things get really cool. Let's actually break this character apart. Look closely at ni. See that part on the left? That little two-stroke figure? That's what we call a radical. It's a building block. And this specific radical, ren, is pronounced ren, and it means person. So think about that. The very idea of a person is built right into the character for you. It's just a perfect example of how Mandarin visually encodes meaning right into the writing itself. It's not just a random symbol. All right, let's move on to he and she. And here we're going to see something really interesting about the difference between spoken and written Mandarin and how radicals solve a big problem. So check this out. This is a fantastic example of what I was just talking about. If you say the word for he or she out loud, they sound exactly the same. Ta. It's a high, flat first tone. Ta. So if you're just talking, you have to rely on context to know who you mean. But in writing, it's perfectly clear, and it's all thanks to the radicals. For he, the character is ta. And look, on the left, there's our old friend, the person radical, ren. But for she, the character is ta, and the radical switches to nui, which means female. So you have the person radical for he and the female radical for she. It's this brilliant, elegant solution in the writing system to clear up any confusion. Okay, we've got the singulars down. Now, how do we make them plural? Well, you're going to love this because compared to English, Mandarin has a beautifully simple and logical system using just one little character, men. And here's how elegant it is. It's just a simple formula. You start with your singular pronoun, say 我 for I, then you just add this plural marker, men, which is pronounced men. You combine them and you get 我们, which means we. That's it. It's an incredibly consistent rule. Just take the singular, add men, and boom, you've got the plural. And this beautiful rule works for all of them. So here's your complete toolkit. 我 becomes 我们, that's we. Ni becomes ni men, that's you plural, like saying y'all or you guys. And for they, the same logic applies, but we have to remember that written distinction. So ta becomes ta men, and this is for a group of guys, or, and this is key, for any group that's mixed gender. The masculine form is kind of the default. Then ta becomes ta men, and you'd only use this for a group of alt women. And again, just like with the singular, both of these are pronounced exactly the same, ta men. So you really need the written character to tell the difference. Okay, so we've got the mechanics down, but now we need to shift gears and talk about something that's honestly even more important. Culture and context. Because knowing the words is one thing, but knowing when and how to use them, that's where true fluency and cultural understanding really lie. I really want you to let this idea sink in. In Mandarin, respect is built directly into the grammar. Think about it. In English, if we want to show respect, we add extra words, right, like sir or ma'am. But in Mandarin, the respect is often shown by the pronoun you choose. The word you pick for you, for instance, immediately tells the other person how you see them, their status, their age, your relationship. If you use the standard ni with a professor or an elder, it can actually come across as a pretty big social mistake. It's that important. So, here's the bottom line. Choosing the right pronoun isn't just about grammar. It's about relationships. It's your very first move in setting the tone for a conversation. It shows you're aware of the social situation, that you respect the other person. And trust me, whether you're studying abroad or sitting in a business meeting, getting this right shows a deep level of cultural competence. It proves you haven't just memorized a list of words, you actually understand how the society works.
Okay, to wrap things up, let's bring it all back to the practical side of things, pronunciation. Because if you can't say them right, all that cultural knowledge won't come across. Let's tackle some of the most common mistakes.
All right, let's really drill this. Look at wo. The correct way, again, is that third tone, wo. The mistake is that flat first tone, wo. Hear the difference? It's subtle, but it's huge. Now for ni. Correct is ni. The mistake I often hear is students using the rising second tone, so it sounds like they're asking a question, ni. We don't want that. It's a statement, ni. And finally, for ta and ta. The correct sound is that high, flat first tone, ta. Please avoid the sharp falling fourth tone, ta. It can sound really harsh or angry. So let's hear them one more time the right way. Wo, ni, ta.
So you see, these pronouns, they're so much more than just words on a list. They're a whole system of logic. They're a piece of history. They're your map for navigating social situations. We started this lecture by talking about them as keys, so I'll leave you with this question to think about. Now that you have these keys in your hand, what conversations, what new relationships, what deeper understanding are you going to unlock?